In 2005, just 3 years after being lauded as an influential financier and a rising star in the world of high finance, Jeffrey Epstein's name became synonymous with scandal. Initial rumors and whispers about his controversial behavior had circulated for years, but it was that year that allegations of sexual misconduct involving minors began to surface publicly, shattering his reputation. However, Epstein's case was anything but straightforward. Over the next decade, his ability to evade justice highlighted systemic flaws within the criminal justice system, the influence of wealth and power, and the dangerous complacency of institutions meant to protect society. Today we explore how Epstein's story reveals a larger narrative about accountability, privilege, and the disturbing ease with which some evade justice for years. Born on January 20, 1953, in Brooklyn, New York, Jeffrey Epstein's early years appeared modest. Gifted with a knack for numbers, he excelled in mathematics during his high school years and attended Lafayette High School. His academic pursuits in college included brief stints at Cooper Union and NYU, but he never earned a degree. Instead, Epstein's early career saw him teaching calculus and physics at the prestigious Dalton School, an elite private school in Manhattan. Despite his apparent success, Epstein's persona was already beginning to draw attention. According to reports from The Guardian, he was known for flamboyant attire, fur coats, gold chains and open shirts, and his unorthodox behavior, such as showing up at high school parties where students drank alcohol. While he was never formally accused of misconduct at this stage, some students found his attention unsettling. One student even reported his behavior to school authorities, but Epstein was ultimately dismissed due to poor performance. Epstein's departure from teaching marked the beginning of his ascent into the world of finance. Through connections made during his time at the school, he became linked to influential figures, including Ace Greenberg, a legendary trader at Bear Stearns. This network would prove crucial in his later pursuits. By 1976, Epstein was hired as a junior assistant at Bear Stearns. Within just 4 years, he advanced to a senior partner, an impressive feat that showcased his rapid rise. He amassed a clientele of ultra-wealthy individuals, and by 1981, he founded his own firm, J. Epstein & Company, with a unique business model. Unlike traditional wealth managers, Epstein only accepted clients with assets exceeding $1 billion, offering them exclusive financial services that combined investment management, tax strategies, and philanthropic advising. His business model was highly profitable. Charging flat fees, reportedly around 0.5%, on assets that often totaled tens of billions, Epstein's income skyrocketed. His staff was small but highly secretive, a handful of accountants, assistants, and a tight crew managing his personal schedule and investments. Epstein controlled all financial decisions himself, creating an aura of mystery and exclusivity. Connections to power and society. While Epstein's wealth and business acumen were impressive, his social circle was even more astonishing. He cultivated friendships with Nobel laureates, scientists, and political figures. He famously hosted gatherings at his Santa Fe estate, where renowned scientists like Murray Gell-Mann and Gerald Edelman visited, some speculate, in exchange for lucrative payments or intellectual engagement. His political ties attracted particular attention. Epstein was publicly close to influential figures like Bill Clinton and Donald Trump, who both acknowledged knowing him. Trump once described Epstein as a terrific guy, noting his fondness for social gatherings and allegedly for younger women. But behind the scenes, Epstein's relationships with high-profile individuals hinted at an extensive network of influence, some of which would later come under scrutiny. Epstein's personal life was intertwined with Ghislaine Maxwell, the daughter of media magnate Robert Maxwell. Though their relationship was often portrayed as platonic, their close association and Maxwell's socialite status placed Epstein at the nexus of elite society, an environment ripe for abuse and exploitation. It wasn't until March 2005 that the darker side of Epstein's life came to light. A 14-year-old girl approached her parents, claiming Epstein had molested her at his Palm Beach mansion. The parents reported this to authorities, setting off an investigation. What investigators uncovered was staggering. Dozens of young girls, mostly between 13 and 16, had been trafficked through Epstein's properties. Victims described a disturbing pattern: girls recruited by other victims promising money, then brought to Epstein's home, where they were subjected to repeated assaults. Epstein's modus operandi involved creating a pyramid of recruitment, turning vulnerable minors into part of a systematic exploitation ring. His strategy was to prey on girls with unstable backgrounds, often those with little support or protection. The authorities gathered evidence, but Epstein's influence was already making waves. He invoked the Fifth Amendment more than 200 times during depositions, refusing to testify or cooperate. Despite credible accusations and mounting evidence, Epstein's case was quietly settled with a plea deal that shocked many. In 2007, Epstein's legal team negotiated a deal with U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta, then based in Florida. The deal was unprecedented. Epstein pled guilty to 2 minor charges: solicitation of prostitution involving a minor, and served just 13 months in a private wing of a county jail. During this period, Epstein was allowed to leave the jail for work 6 days a week, sometimes for nearly 12 hours a day, with minimal supervision. Critics argue that the deal was a blatant miscarriage of justice. Victims' advocates condemned the plea agreement for shielding Epstein and his associates from federal charges. The deal also included a secret clause, sealed from the public and victims, that granted immunity to potential co-conspirators. This arrangement exemplified how wealth, influence, and legal maneuvering could undermine the justice system. Epstein's connections appeared to have bought him a remarkably lenient sentence, fueling public outrage and skepticism about the fairness of the legal process. For years, Epstein's case remained dormant beneath layers of legal and political protection. But investigative journalists and victims' advocates kept digging. In 2018, the Miami Herald published an exposé revealing that Epstein had molested dozens of girls between 2001 and 2006, numbers that investigators now estimate could be as high as 80. This reinvigorated scrutiny led to renewed investigations in New York City. On July 6, 2019, Epstein was arrested again, this time on federal charges of sex trafficking of minors. The indictment accused Epstein of operating a vast network to recruit, transport, and exploit underage girls over several years. Epstein pleaded not guilty, asserting his innocence. His trial was scheduled for June 2020, but before it could begin, tragedy struck. Epstein was found dead in his Manhattan jail cell on July 23, 2019.